For 1.4 million people, we are some of the most creative, awesome people on the face of the planet. I have a passion for female entrepreneurship. I wanted to give back to the people in my country, especially female entrepreneurs. The ability to create something out of nothing is a skill that all women have. I am a business strategist. There are way more opportunities for women than ever before, and I wanted to bring my experience and my knowledge to the table. Once we've been able to identify the problems or the challenges that you think you have as compared to the challenges or the problems that you actually have, we offer customized solutions. I have a team of people who come on board to create synergy. I am not a Trinidadian brand. I'm a global brand that is run by a Trinidadian woman. So everywhere I turn up as a Trinidadian woman first. Hi, good evening. We had StreamYard now has something that they are beta testing, and it is driving everybody crazy. So let me see if I can get my guest back in. I'm going to invite her back in again, and let me see what is going to happen. I'm going to copy. I'm going to Gmail her again, and let me see. Let me see if I get her back in. Right. Let me see if I get Tine back in again, and let's get started. Okay, great. Nice. So this evening we are going to start a series, and you know when you have a live, what happens? The live is always some level of entertainment. When you're doing lives, this is exactly what happens. So let me see if I can get Tine. I'm going to drop her the link so that she could come back in, because she was in fact in. And then I realized that the beta that we were on, it wasn't doing what it needed to do. So let me see if I can get Tine again and bring her back in, and let's get started. Right. So let me see. So before we get started, this is what is going to happen. We are doing a series where we're going to have a number of conversations with different women, and those women are going to share their stories. They're going to share their experiences. They're going to share the experiences of being entrepreneurs, and they're also going to share the experience of what being bold and taking bold decisions, what that has done for them. So before I do that, however, this is what I want to do for you. I want to make sure that I share with you a little snippet of last week, and we'll talk a little bit about that. Right? Let me throw in Tine one time. Tine, the system just went crazy. I do apologize.
No worries.
StreamYard is testing something, and like the testing to the nth degree, the beta testing something is absolute madness.
No worries.
So before we get started, however, before I introduce you or anything, I just want to share one little piece of last week, because as we were talking before we went live, that community is the new currency. And when people do not invest in community before they need it, then they are hard pressed to have those conversations in the 11th hour. And then it looks to the people who they're trying to reach out to. It seems to those people, well, you only want me because you want me. And that gives people a serious pushback. So let me just share one little thing from last week. For those of you who know Trinidad, I grew up in East Trinidad in a place called Sangre Grande. Now, for people who grew up in the country, we are mentored by older people in the society, in the village, in the community, and they hand down a lot of their lived experience, and we carry it forward. Now, I'm telling you this to tell you this. I had a really old lady friend, Mrs. Farrell, who told me something and I never forgot it. Good evening, Dee. Good evening, Rhonda. And it is this: you only know who your friends are when you are sick, when you are broke, and when you are in trouble. And I want, see? So this is where we're going to start tonight, because I had an old lady friend who told me that when I was coming up, I was probably 18, 19 at the time. And she said, Rhonda, I'll give you a good piece of advice. She said, build community from the onset, because you only know your friends. It is easy for people to be your friends or your collaborators or your partners when it incurs no cost on their part. But when you're broke, when you're sick, or when you're in trouble, that is when the friendships are tested. And 99.9% of the time, when that happens, you are all alone. And it is usually a very painful lesson that we learn. We like to say that people are our friends, and when that friendship is tested, then we're between a rock and a hard place.
Mm.
So this is why I am doing this series, because I'm trying to have these conversations so that it's not just me saying it. If I say it, then it would mean that you don't have to take me on. But if enough of us say it, then it might have some truth in it. So it's teen or time? Tell me.
Tine. It's short for Christine.
I know, but sometimes, we recreate. So it's teen.
Yes.
Great. So tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell the listeners and those who will listen to the replay, tell us a little bit about yourself. And
Sure.
welcome.
Thank you. Well, thanks for having me. This is I've just been so excited for these conversations. As you said, we're building community. We're going through this together. And that's absolutely what I'm all about. So my name is Tine Zekis. I am the founder of Getting Black Women Paid. I help Black women double their income by leveraging their existing skills, either through career movements or building out their own businesses. And that's part of why, as we talk about community, I'm so excited, because that's 100% of what I do. We're here to uplift each other, to move forward together. I started out as a teacher, a math teacher, and I actually moved into software engineering, and I was able to double my teacher salary in 2 years, and I more than tripled it in less than 5 years. And
Ooh.
since then, I started mentoring other Black women on how to do the same. It was sort of informal at first, but then it grew into my own entrepreneurial journey. And now,
Mhm.
especially since the 2024 election, so many of the Black women I talk to, even if we're talking about career movement, at some point they'll say
Mhm.
something like, well, until I'm doing my own thing, until I build my own thing. So
Yeah,
many of
but
us are
when does
starting
that? Yeah, but
businesses.
when is that going to happen?
Well, now.
No,
I'm not I'm not ready to plug
because
my own stuff, but now I'm making a shift towards working with women who are ready to start a business, who are ready to make that leap and to launch something in the next few months. So that's been
great.
my new focus.
Oh, that is fantastic. And tonight we're talking about little excerpts from your book. So tell us something about your book, because I
Oh,
have been reading it and I find it to be absolutely fascinating.
oh, thank you. Yes, so the book is Overcoming Imposter Syndrome at Work: The Black Woman's Guide to Conquer Perfectionism, Stop Overthinking, and Thrive in Your Career. And I think I often have hesitation when I talk about imposter syndrome, because we were actually discussing this earlier. There's a lot of discourse about, imposter syndrome isn't real, or, it's a myth and we just need to throw it out. And I think that the challenge here is really talking more about where it comes from. We so often talk about imposter syndrome as this thing you need to fix. And I try to shift the focus and take a perspective that we're actually living within what I call imposter systems. And those are the structural barriers, right? The political, socioeconomic structures that systematically tell us every day, you don't belong, you're not good enough, right? Black
Mhm.
women are the most educated and among the least paid, at
Yep.
least in the
That
United States. And so
exactly.
for us, it's, we're receiving messages every day. Every time you're mistaken for someone who's in a position three levels down from you, right? Every
Mhm,
time you are
mhm, mhm.
talked over in a room, every time you're the only one or there's no one in leadership who looks like you, we're internalizing those messages. And so that's where imposter syndrome comes from. It's not some disease you have, right? You're just aware
That-
of the
that-
world that's telling you this wasn't made for you.
exactly. So tonight, let me just welcome some people. There's Anita, and Anita is saying good evening. There's Desiree. Hi, Desiree. Let me show Desiree. There's some of the LinkedIn users would be on other platforms. Could you please just put in your name so that we know? There's Dennis. There's Dennis. Dennis and I always having it out. Um, there's Camille Edwards. And for those of you who will see this on the replay, please put in replay. So let me just hype up your crowd almost immediately. Let me hype up your crowd. And your crowd, question for the crowd tonight. Let us know in the chat. What is the one word that describes how you feel about confidence right now? Just drop whatever you think about it in the chat. Please drop it in so that we could have a very interactive session and we could talk all the things. So, Tine is an author, a former school teacher, a code developer. When did you start doing that? I'm
Um,
fascinated. I read in your book, but I don't want to give it away. I want you to tell the crowd.
sure. So I started learning to code when I was almost 30. That
Mm-hmm.
was in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was when I made that major career shift.
Mm-hmm.
And did you
When
want
I
the
was when I was 40, I went back to school. So that is why I am so fascinated, because
Mhm.
when I went back to school, there were so many people who tried to talk me out of it.
Mm,
And I literally had to do the thing with me being the only person who believed in it. So this is what
mm.
is important. Hi, Colette. This is one of my dear friends here, and she really wants to hear about what you've done. So let us start the show with the questions. I come with questions. I have questions. So let's go to the first question. You talk about imposter syndrome in your book, and as I tell you, in the very my I'm a reader, so if the first chapter of any book doesn't grab me, most of the time I'm not going to read the rest of the book. And your first chapter gripped me because you talked about being in the classroom, being a 30-year-old, and hearing young people being in the same space talking about a life that you are not part of.
Mm,
That is when you started to feel like less, because this was the popular group, and you, for quote unquote, in your mind, you were the old lady. So you talk about how imposter syndrome is rooted in systematic bias and
mhm.
not just internal mindset, because people like to tell you that imposter syndrome is in your mind. So break it down first and tell us how we, women, not just Black women, could start separating the truth from the hype.
Oh, absolutely. Well, thank you for this question. I think, we did start talking about imposter systems, right? We have
Mhm.
the pay inequity. We have, getting passed up for promotions, all of these things that might come from, um, internal biases from folks or the larger system not supporting us. Um,
Mhm.
and I do wanna touch on the story that you mentioned. Um, it's that I was at lunch with my colleagues, and they were talking about building computers in high school, and I had just started learning to code when I was almost 30, as I said, and, um,
Mhm.
I had a moment where I thought, "Gosh, I don't I wanna disappear. I don't want people to know that I'm so new to this." And then it
Mhm.
was later that day when I was running a meeting, because no one
Mhm.
else on the team could write an agenda and stick to it, right? That I
Mhm.
remembered,
Mhm.
"Oh, while they were doing this one thing, I was learning so many other things," right? I can run a classroom. I can't even tell you, teachers, I think, can do any job, and I know you know this.
Well, my father and grandfather were teachers, were educators. I come from a family of teachers and lawyers, so I
Mm,
get that.
yeah,
I
and I
get
think
that.
and when we talk about how do we start to separate then their truth from the lie that you aren't enough, the best strategy I have found is whenever we find ourselves telling ourselves no, before we even try something, "Oh, I'm not good at that," or, "Oh, I'm not ready," is to start with a question. "Who told you that?"
Mhm. Yeah.
That's it. "Who told you that?"
Yep.
Because the
Yep.
answer might be nobody, and this is
Mhm.
just a story I'm making up. Or maybe
Mhm.
there is someone who told you that. And is that person's view valid? Does that person know what you can and cannot do? And so it's just a way to really interrupt that initial thought anytime you're telling yourself no before you've given anyone else the opportunity to. I just start with, "Well,
Ex-
who told you that?"
And you are quite correct because I always refer to imposter syndrome as a narrative
Mhm.
because it is a loop that has been fed into our minds, and it's a loop that we have accepted
Yes.
as truth and we have not unmounted it. So the mere fact that you are asking the question of who told you that, this is the beginning of dismantling the narrative.
Right.
Because remember, everybody's path is different, everybody's journey is different. And the thing that is important also, Teen, and we talked about it in the earlier part of the conversations that we had when I said that it is all right for you to change your mind. It's
Mm.
all right for you to change your mind about anything. It is all right for you to change your mind about a course of study. It is all right for you to change your mind about a career path. It is all right for you to change your mind about a relationship, a marriage, a friendship, a job. You
Mhm.
can change your mind. You are not stuck. You're not a tree. But as women, we have been conditioned to believe that there's only
Yep.
one path for us, that there's only one job for us, that if we decide in the middle of pursuing law that we don't like law anymore and we want, I have a friend who left teaching law to become a yoga instructor. The thing about it is there are many paths,
Yep.
but they convince us that there's only one path for us. So we keep twisting ourselves almost like pretzels, trying to live up to an expectation that we didn't create for ourselves. And then we do not understand why we are carrying so much stress and so much pain
Yeah.
because we are living up to everybody's expectation. Go ahead.
And I would say that overcoming imposter syndrome is really about changing your mind about yourself, right?
Yeah,
Changing your mind about what you can and cannot do, what you are good enough for or ready for.
because everybody's path is different. And I was talking to somebody today, and the person said that one of the things she believes, because she works with a lot of entrepreneurs, and she was saying that many people are afraid of success, not failure. It is success that they are afraid
Absolutely.
of because in success, they're going to have to, they believe that success will take them away from what is tried and true and what is familiar. So, ladies, I want you to come in with your questions quick, because somebody said something here and I want to share it, and it's Anita. And Anita said this, that confidence is the act of remembering all that you have accomplished and experienced and realizing that there is no one else who can do what you do.
Mm.
It is a daily activity of remembering who you are and finding ways to stay in your power no matter what is happening around you. And Anita is absolutely correct, because what I call it is having an intentional mindset. You intentionally have to decide how this how you are going to, as we say in the Bible, how you're going to set your mind and keep it set. So ladies, I appreciate, come in with your question. I'm going to ask the question again because more people coming in or more people passing through. Let us know in the chat, what is the one word that describes how you feel about confidence right now. So far, Anita is the only person who has taken the challenge. And tonight, for people who will stay with the entire life, we have a gift for you, because we have a workbook that is especially for the people who are going to be, not the people on the replay, the people who are actually going to be here. And part of the workbook, there are affirmations and questions that people have to start to ask. Women have to start to ask themselves about themselves, because nobody knows you as well as you ought to know yourself. So let me move on to the next question very quickly. So many of us struggle with perfectionism. Big word, big frightening word. And feeling that we cannot make a move unless it is flawless. Flawless. We want perfect. We don't want done. We want perfect. We're coming up
Hmm.
on camera. We're not coming on camera because our face is not beat. And like just how I had to switch from one studio on LinkedIn to StreamYard to another almost immediately. We don't want that to happen because we feel that people will say all the things about us. So
Hmm.
the feeling that we can't move unless it is flawless. What's one actionable strategy that anybody, any black woman, any woman feeling this at this level of dis-ease can apply now, in order for them to take those bold steps?
Mm.
You tell me. You wrote the book.
I had to laugh because while I was writing the book, while I was stuck on something and I didn't have the perfect way to explain it, I had to go
Mhm.
back to the chapter on perfectionism, reread it, and
Just
be
to
like, "Girl, just
reinforce.
write something." So I
Just
I
to
have been there.
reinforce. Mhm.
And for this, I think of two things. One is a growth mindset, the idea that we're always improving, and that
Mhm.
when something is imperfect, it is a lesson. A quote
Not
unquote
only
failure is a
Not
lesson.
only that, here is the thing. Oh, I just dropped my questions. Let me pick them up. Here is the thing. I see failure as R&D, because before I always use WD-40 as the perfect example of um, what failure is. A lot of people don't realize that WD-40 is the 40th version of that particular product.
Mm,
There were 39 failures before the 40th product. If we, as women, we take failure too personal, we internalize it. We feel a failure at doing something is an indictment that we are not good at anything. So
mhm,
therefore, we take failure to heart.
right.
And in taking failure to heart, what happens is that we are afraid to try again. But remember everybody, every single person on the face of the planet was a beginner.
Absolutely.
So what's the worst thing that's going to happen? What is the worst that is possibly going to happen?
Well, and
You're
and the
going to
thing
fail.
for
So talk to them tonight. Help them. Hold their hands
yes,
and give them all the good stuff so that they would not feel so badly.
absolutely. So, one thing I try to remember is that imperfect action is infinitely better than perfect inaction, right? You can sit
Correct.
there and do nothing, but if you just put something out there, that's already progress. And For those of us who are perfectionists, what you consider perfect is well above and beyond what is necessary. So if you put in like a C effort, it's still going to be better than what most
Oh,
people do.
team, give me 1 second. Give me one little second. I'm not hearing you on camera. Let me fix my mic. My mic wants
Right.
to give me some drama tonight.
We're having tech gremlins.
At.
Doing
Yeah.
their thing. Can you hear me now?
Would turn. Yeah, I'm hearing you very good now.
Okay. I might have had an echo.
All right. I wasn't hearing you at
There
all.
we go.
So say what you just said.
What did I just say? Oh, I was saying that for those of us who are perfectionists, what we
Mm-hmm.
consider perfect is already so much above and beyond what's really needed that if
Mm-hmm.
we just put in a 70% effort, even a 50% effort, it will still be probably better than whatever it needs to be. And one of the things I really like to do, for instance, if you're starting something like a YouTube channel or a
Mm-hmm.
podcast,
Mm-hmm.
go to the people you follow who you love their stuff, and then go
Mm-hmm.
find their first episode, go find their first video. The lighting is
Exactly.
crazy, their sound is jank, they don't have the rhythms down, but they started, and the way they got to the level they are was by doing it and going through those lessons, going through the pain and getting better at it. Whereas if you can't wait to be the best before you start because the way that you get to that level is by doing it.
Let me share a story with you. When I just started, I had somebody on deck, a graphic designer on deck who used to do all my flyers, all my banners, all my everything. But she is Seventh-day Adventist. So from Friday, I can't get any work done until Monday.
Mhm.
So over the weekend, I was stuck. And I remember saying to another friend of mine who's also a graphic designer, and I said, you know what, Shaquille, I am going to learn how to become a graphic designer. I am going to do some shit designs to start. And over a period of time, if I stick with it, I am going to get better.
Mm.
And now I do all my graphics. I do every piece of my graphics, all my carousels, everything,
And your stuff
every
is stunning.
single, and I am self-taught. So Tamlin will tell you, because Tam and I are really good, and I advise Tam as she is going into this AI journey. I told her, show all your work. Give yourself a 60-day challenge and show all of your work,
Mm,
even the work that you are not too pleased about, because we are usually our own worst critics.
exactly.
And when we are beating up ourselves because of this desire for perfection, we probably already at perfection, you know. But you know what? Because we are the only people who are judging our work,
Mhm.
that's why it's falling short. So throw your work out into the world, throw your ambitions out into the world, and see what happens. When I was doing my master's, I failed accounting for business purposes 3 times.
Mm.
It was the only module I needed to pass to get my MSc, and I failed the damn thing 3 times. When the lecturer was teaching the class, I used to break out in a cold sweat because I felt so defeated by not understanding the numbers. And I remember the university writing me and telling me to drop out of the program and come back the
Mm.
following semester for one module. We're talking about all my thesis, everything already written in it. And there was a professor on campus who told me what to write and how to write. And when other people started to fail, then they had a remedial class, and I went to the class. And when this lecturer couldn't find any other reason to fail me, he gave me a beer pass. At the end of the day, I still climbed the stairs, shake the chancellor's hand, and got my MSc. I am saying that we never learn anything in success. If everything was perfect, we would learn nothing.
Mm.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to ask you. Oh, some Anita is sharing again. Let me tell you what Anita is saying. Anita said her first radio show podcast recordings are so preschool. Something Jared Mitchell said this week. He did a webinar some time ago, and somebody asked him, um, and thank you, Anita. Somebody asked him, if you do a post and it only get, or you do create a piece of content and it only gets 5 um, likes or whatever, would you take it down? He said, no, I'm not taking down nothing. He said, and he made us laugh because he said he was showing us his teeth because his teeth out of alignment. He said, watch me. He said, I'm going to put Invisalign on these babies. When you see these teeth get straight, or they cannot speak to me. So I am saying the comfort with which men accept their own um, idiosyncrasies. I just wish women would just accept that we in the learning curve like everybody else. So now that I have said that to you, I'm going to give these people inside here another prompt. I'm going to wake them up a little bit. So Anita said, I keep everything. I listen. How will I know the journey if I do not look at the growth? If you hide when you fail, then you cannot look back and say, what I really do. Yeah, because we are always pivoting. And here's the thing that team, everybody is the same, you know. Whether you have $1 million company or whether you're just standing out, all of us are just pivoting and trying to do the best that we can do. All of us are evolving. All of us, life is lifing for all of us. I went to a, a after sale lecture, and a guy said, he said the first time you lose $10 million, he said when you go to the supermarket, you're reading every label of every product that you're going to pick up. We keep thinking that we are the only people having these experiences. And the truth of it, it is not so. So now I'm going to ask the people in the group because I don't want to make them feel that is not me. So there is something that you said, and you could quote me or not. You had said that you don't have to shrink, because this is what we're talking about. You don't have to shrink to fit in to where you don't belong.
Mm,
And how many people who are listening tonight, please, by show of heart, whatever, let us know if you are having that same experience. Because listen, imposter syndrome is real. It keeps coming up over and over again. So if it keeps coming up over and over again, it's something that needs to be addressed. So let me get to the next question. And this is my next question. And I will toss things around just to be on the safe side. I want to make sure that I cover all the bases in a short. So, what's some of the signs that someone is experiencing imposter syndrome? Because imposter syndrome is a dirty little secret. People are experiencing it, and people are ashamed to let other people know that they are experiencing it. So,
mm.
what are some of the signs? And somebody might be experiencing imposter syndrome and not even realize that they are experiencing imposter syndrome. So,
Sure.
what are some of the signs?
Well, so there are different ways to experience imposter syndrome. As you said, everyone is different, and there are different types of imposter syndrome. And so
Mhm,
recognizing them in yourself might be about kind of exploring what all of the different types are.
mhm,
We talked about perfectionism, right? So one sign is that you are working on something far longer than your peers might, right? You have a presentation and you're putting in hours and hours and hours on it
mhm,
when somebody else slapped something together and they were good to go. And they got
mhm,
praise for for what a great job they did,
mhm,
right?
mhm, mhm,
Um,
mhm,
one sign is just noticing self-defeating thoughts, right? So anytime you get into a situation and you say, "Oh well, I'm not good at math," or "Oh, I don't know how to do this," or "I'm not sure how to do that." Those kinds of limiting beliefs are a big
mhm,
sign of imposter syndrome. Anytime there's a discomfort where you feel like people are going to notice that you don't know as much as they think you do,
mhm,
right? You feel nervous to speak up in a meeting, or you feel like, um, people are going to realize I don't really belong here. I didn't really earn this job, or I'm not as smart as the rest of the people on the team, right? Those kinds of um it's not even just limiting thoughts, that like the feeling that you're going to be discovered, right? That people think so highly of you and it's not earned. And so you think if you don't do and say all of the right things, people are going to realize that you're not supposed to be there. That is a telltale sign of imposter syndrome. So there are lots of different things. Um, one big pattern is when we diminish our own accomplishments,
Mm-hmm.
and anytime we do accomplish something, we attribute it to luck
Love.
or to some external factor, right? Well, the team really
Mhm.
helped out. Oh, this one was easy. The reason I
Mhm.
did well on it is because it was easy. No, it was easy for you because you're talented,
Correct.
right? So
That
when we
that is
limit
that is the real point, because we we have we have also been conditioned to believe that our work will speak for us.
mm,
And when our work is not speaking for us, then we start to think that we are not good enough. Your work is never going to speak for you. Because we feel as women, we have never been conditioned to brag about our accomplishments. Men
absolutely.
brag about things that they didn't even accomplish. They didn't even accomplish. Women
Yes.
are always afraid of saying that they did this and they did that, because they feel that that is being arrogant.
Yeah. And
But arrogance is rewarded in men.
right. And I so often see this in my clients. They'll say, well, when I was offered the job, I thought that the title was lower than it should be. So I figured, if I go in there and I work really hard and I show them, I do all this stuff, then they'll promote me.
No,
No, they're going to promote you when you tell them,
that
I
you.
did XYZ, I've brought this much into the role. These are the responsibilities I've had. You have to lay it out for them. Nobody's watching you, nobody's taking notes on what you're doing. You have to advocate for yourself, and it's uncomfortable the first few times because we're not
Mhm,
used to doing it.
mhm. But here is the thing that I used to be a trainer, and I still love training, because once a teacher, always a teacher. I never wanted to be a teacher. I didn't want to get into the family business. And funnily enough, when I started to train people, when I started to be an international lecturer, then I saw the beauty of it, because we do not teach the how, we teach the why. I say that about training all the time. We teach the why, because people have to make the connection. The how is procedural. The how will always be the how. But for behaviors, because remember, training doesn't change people, training changes behaviors, because people get to understand, all right, so this is why this and this and this is like this. Now, here is the issue where women are concerned, where imposter syndrome shows up. And I used to tell people that I trained, I used to tell participants in my courses, I used to tell them, if it's not written, it never happened.
Mm,
If it is not written, it never happened. So if you are in an organization and you have done exceptional work and you got some level of your bosses were pleased and they said, Tine, you did a fantastic job on this project. We were able to maximize, we were able to bring in the project on time. The client was pleased, and we were able to bring it in on time, under cost, and it was a win-win for us as an organization and for the client. Let that person put that in writing. No, don't let them just tell you. If you could tell me with your whole chest, then you could put it in writing. It's just a
mm,
paragraph. You want me to help you write it? I will help you write it. I will
mm.
couch it in nice, um, in good phrases, so that you will be able to take this now and build your file. So when you're
Yeah.
going to do your yearly or quarterly assessment with your supervisors, And they like to say that the pen is mightier than the sword. And if they don't like you, they will write with that pen very heavily. You come with the receipts.
Yes. And
When
just
you're looking to come with the receipts,
Mhm.
it's not hard. It is not hard. It is not hard. It is not hard.
Yeah. And you can also use it when you're moving to the next job, right? All that stuff goes on your
Exactly.
resume.
Exactly. Because listen, we both know it is more important what you can do than what you know. At a point in time, especially in your whether it's in your entrepreneurial journey or in your professional journey, nobody cares how many qualifications you have. They really don't. They care that you have performed consistently over a period of time
Yep.
and you have become a value asset in every organization that you
Mhm.
have worked for. And those are the receipts that you're going to bring to the table. That I have done this. It is, you would know, these are actionable words. When we're creating training packages for people, we're creating courses. At the end of this, the participants must be able to do one, two, three, four things. Those things are actionable. They're actionable. So if you think about it from that perspective, then you are not asking them for a favor. You're not asking people to like you. This is not about liking. This is about saying that I am the best person for the job and I am coming with the receipts. You will now be put in a position of whether you want the best person or not. If you don't want me,
Mhm.
I'm not heartbroken over it. But it also gives you, as the person in the organization, options. If you have outgrown, remember I said earlier that you must know when you have outgrown a situation, when it is time for you to pivot, when it is time for you to leave somewhere, leave a job, leave an organization, leave a course of study, just
Yep.
leave. Then you are leaving with your briefcase full of stuff that you are now going to make a pitch for someone else. And it also helps you when it comes to calling your worth because you are able to say, I have done this, I have done this, I have done this. I have created a 20% increase over a
Mhm.
quarter. That's why I like numbers. That's why I tell people I'm a business strategist and not a business coach. I use numbers to tell a story of
Mm.
what you want to achieve. And had I not done an MSc, had I not been in an industry where quantitative analysis is important, I would not have been able to speak the language of numbers because
Yeah.
numbers is a language. So let's see. What is one daily affirmation you would recommend that anybody, me, you, the people listening to tonight, that they could take and apply when your mind starts to run away with you. Because
Mm.
that's what you're doing. Your mind runs away with you and you have to pull it back in. You have to, that's why they
Yeah.
said in the Bible, you have to set your mind and keep it set. So, what's one affirmation?
I'm going to even make it shorter than that. It's not even a whole affirmation, it's one word.
Mhm.
The word is yet. Every
Oh,
time
I
you
love
say
that.
every time you say something negative about yourself, "Oh, I don't know how to do that yet." And it starts to change your mindset into what's possible, into what you can grow into. It's not, "I'm not a person who can do sales." It's, "I don't
Yes,
have that skill set yet,
yet. I
and I'm
love that.
working towards it."
I
Right?
love it.
There's a, I always show people this video. It's from Sesame Street. And it's
Mhm.
Janelle Monáe singing a song called "The Power of Yet." And it's just
Mhm.
about trying new things, working and not getting it yet, and working until you do. And so
Mhm.
for me, it's such a powerful way to interrupt those thoughts because we have them so often,
Yeah.
right? We have those thoughts so often. It can be even, um, I'm berating myself because I'm still sitting on the couch and I should have gotten up to exercise, right? Oh, I haven't exercised yet. And then that tells me,
Mhm.
wait, there's still time to change that, right? There's still time to make a different decision. And it turns those statements then more into a choice.
Exactly, exactly. Because not only that, it leads you in the direction of finding out.
Mhm.
If I have not done this yet, then how do I learn? This is why we refer to YouTube as the University of YouTube. We could go there and find out how
Yeah,
to do something that we
absolutely.
haven't gotten good at yet. So, this is what Kevin said, and I'm looking through the comments, and Kevin said this. He said, keep a journal of your accomplishments. Kudos you received major. Yes, Kevin. Yes, yes. This is your brag jar. And the brag jar is not just for the job. The brag jar is on the days that you're not feeling like yourself. And thank you, Kevin. On the days when you're not feeling like your whole self, the days when it happens to, and it happens to everybody. And I want you to mention the people who we think, because we think we are the only people having issues with imposter syndrome. We honestly feel when we are feeling this way, we feel that we are the only people feeling this type of way.
Yeah.
So this is what Kevin is saying again. And I thank you, Kevin. I thank you for your comments. Now, what do you do when you are consistently putting forth your best effort, but your manager does not see the good things that you're doing and only has criticism? Not positive feedback, but negativity. It feels as if the season at that position might have ended and time to start. Yes, yes, yes,
You
Kevin.
answered your own question.
Yes, yes, yes. Kevin, yes, 1,000 times, yes. Because I left my job 1 month before I was going to be promoted to the next level. I left the job. I took early retirement. And people are amazed that I walked away from a sizable salary uptick. The reason why I did that, Teen, is because I was crying in front of everybody, friends and frenemies alike. And I'm talking about the ugly cry
Yeah.
with the snotty nose, the whole thing. And I would not have survived. I did not have to do this thing. I did not have to. I had outgrown my organization, and the
Yeah.
organization was telling me that in no uncertain terms. So, Kevin has another question for you, and Kevin is on a roll. So, Kevin is asking another question, and this is the question: what steps I need to achieve my goal? Teen, they
Oh,
have questions. This is what I
yes.
want.
Well, this is good because it's general and you can do this for any goal.
Yeah.
For any goal, big or small, you can break it down into actionable steps,
Yep.
right? So if
Tasks and subtasks.
and if your goal is I want to be at this place in a year. Okay,
Mhm.
well, if I want to be there in a year, where do I have to be in 6 months?
Yep.
Okay, where
They
do I
have
have
to
to be
be
in
3
3
months.
months, 1 month, 1 week? What do I need to do today
Today.
to
Yep.
move towards that thing? And it's to always be taking actionable steps towards that goal. Another thing is making sure your goals are SMART. It's SMART.
Yeah. Measurable, achievable,
Yes. So
reasonable, relevant,
and
and
time
time
bound.
bound.
Right. And that way you're setting yourself up for, okay, this is a piece of that goal that I can accomplish in this time. And that way I can see my progress towards the larger goal.
Mhm, mhm. Because remember, a wall is built one brick at a time. So Anita is saying something here, and I'm glad that they're starting to talk because I know have you ever been to a meeting and everybody stayed quiet, and when the meeting is over, everybody has an opinion. I usually say
Of course.
after the meeting is finished, you have no opinions.
Now's the time. Now's the
Now
time.
is the time that we are creating time for you to talk all the things. So Anita is saying, especially in today's political climate, Black women are enjoying microaggressions daily. We must stay focused on our truth, keep our heads high, and keep the journal, the list of your accomplishments, as Kevin said, and read as often as you need to.
Yeah.
And Anita is right. I don't look at TV at all. I think TV is traumatizing for me. I don't want to do it. The things that I do at this stage of my life, I'm not doing anything that I don't want to do. Things
Mm,
things that do not bring me joy. Because Here is the thing that especially Black women have forgotten, that you do not pour into people's cups from your flow, you pour from your overflow.
Mm, mhm,
I'm going to say it again, and I want somebody to put that down, write it down somewhere, because you have to pour from your overflow. It means that the cup must be so full that there is flow. All on the desk there is liquid, on the floor there is liquid, there's a river of liquid. The mistake that we make every single time is that we are pouring from our flow, and your flow is a fixed amount. So when it goes empty, you are expecting somebody who you have given out of your flow to come back and pour into
mhm,
from their flow into yours. No, they have no flow. They took yours and they're gone with it. And then people are angry and people are saying to themselves, I was so good to Teen and she do me wrong. No, you poured from your flow when you were supposed to pour from your overflow. And we have to be intentional in
mm,
this life, because you are a mathematician at heart. I am quantitative at heart, and I look at life from fixed and variables. The fixed is that we are all going to die. The variable is, what are you going to do with the time that you are assigned?
mm,
That's the variable.
mm,
Because nobody comes back from death to tell you what death is like. So, yet is a very good, yet tells you that you are not there, but you will get there. See,
mm,
I take out the yet, but yet, that's how yet translates into English. Yet is, I am not there yet, but I am getting there.
mhm.
Yet is potential.
Yes.
When I went back to school at 40, I wasn't there yet. I had four O levels. I didn't have a full GED. I was a consummate aviation professional. I still didn't have the academic qualifications. And I realized that if I didn't take preemptive action, I'd have been stuck in aviation, or worst of worst, I would have been 60 years with four O levels. And then I would tell someone, I could have done this, this, and this, but. And at that point in
Mm,
time, nobody care about you and your sad story. Let's get real. So I decided, you know what? I'm not being promoted and I'm going to go back to school to change my focus. I didn't go back to
mm,
get an education. I went back to get to change my focus rather than to be all in my feelings. I said, you know what, Rhonda, you have to change your focus. And when I went back to school, that's when I realized I was so bright. I didn't know I was so bright. I really didn't know. And when I realized that I could do this thing, the very next semester, the government of Trinidad and Tobago brought a program of free tertiary level education. The very next,
mm,
that's why I tell you sometimes when you make a decision, the universe shifts. But if you don't make that preemptive strike, then nothing happens. You miss every shot that you didn't take.
mm,
So, and the very next semester, they brought gate. And I would have never been that lucky. So I said it to myself, I said, you know what? I will never get this kind of luck again. And I literally beat that. As I finished one degree, I was starting the other degree. It was so bad that when I was graduating from my BSc, I was in the first year of my MSc already. I knew I would never be so lucky again.
mhm,
And I was willing to do what needed to be done because I knew I wanted to go down that road. And
mm,
I didn't know when the government would change their minds, because governments come and go and they give you and they take it back. So I knew that was a boon, that the faster I moved with that, the better it would have been for me. So before we go forward, I would like you to share, because we like to think that we are the only people who suffer from imposter syndrome, and we do not realize how common it is. So
mhm.
tell them what you tell people when you in your BBC interview, and your I did look at the link that your book is well received and accredited, because it's a wonderful book. It is a
Mm.
wonderful book, and I am a reader. I like to read. That's my thing. I read. So tell them about the people who they don't know that they don't know. So go ahead.
Oh, like examples of people with imposter
Yes,
syndrome? Yes. Okay.
exactly.
Okay. So, oh, my favorite. Um, this person said, I've written 11 books, and each time I think, oh, they're going to find out. Now they're going to find out that I didn't deserve any of this, right? That's
Mhm.
Maya Angelou.
Correct.
I mean, she I can't think of anyone more deserving of the accolades that she has received.
And she, exactly.
Another, who spoke about her imposter syndrome is Michelle Obama,
Hmm.
and just speaking about, "Well, I'm just that black girl from the South Side who's gonna listen to me,"
Correct.
right? Before she wrote her book, and
Before she wrote her book, and the book
yes,
became an overnight sensation,
yes,
where
yes,
that book was her coming out party. Because after that, she wasn't the president's wife. She was an individual. She was Michelle
right,
First, who
right.
happened to be the president's wife.
Absolutely, absolutely. And, let's see, Amy Poehler, Tom
Hmm.
Hanks.
Hmm.
I mean, Tom Hanks, I think, is just the default of, successful actor. Um, but throughout all of it, this next one, this is gonna be the time that they all figure out, "I don't know what I'm doing." Right? And the thing that I take from this is, I can list endless individuals, but it's that no matter how high you go up, the CEOs, right? People experience this at all levels of their career, and in fact,
Hmm.
it's usually the most talented, most intelligent people who experience imposter syndrome, right? The
Exactly.
the goofs who are just failing up with their unearned sense of self-confidence, right? They're the people who don't have any care in the world, right? But it's the people who are introspective, who are really interested in learning more, who are trying to hone their skills. Those are the people who experience this so commonly.
One of the sidebar issues of imposter syndrome that nobody talks about is that over preparedness.
Mhm.
Because I was equally guilty. I felt just like a lot of other women, I was afraid to make that leap. I should have been an entrepreneur way before. I tell people I knew who I wanted to be when I was 8 years old, and it took me 50 years to become that person.
Mm,
My business is predicated on getting women to that decision faster.
yes.
But I remember when I was doing my internship, there was a guy who I was doing my internship, and he said, Rhonda, you want everything to be perfect. And entrepreneurship is about risk.
Mm,
He said, when I was going to school, I used to like to gamble. He said, so when I became an entrepreneur, it was the same principles of gamble that you apply in entrepreneurship.
hmm,
You look at your odds and you choose the best course of action and you roll the dice. And he used to look at me and he used to laugh at me. And this man is a millionaire. And he used to look at me and laugh.
mhm,
And he used to tell me, listen, he said, your problem is that you are afraid to bungee jump. And I remember the first time that he said that to me, Teen, I was literally really scared because because I like to learn. So I
mhm.
was so enthralled with the idea of acquiring certifications
Yep.
because I'd started so late. And then in aviation is about training
Mm,
and retraining. And I was going up the professional ladder at the same time that I'm going up the academic ladder. But yet, it took me having to cry my little heart out for me to take preemptive action when this is
mhm,
something I had all the tools to jump. It is the jumping part that I couldn't do. I was stuck at failure to launch. So
mhm.
I think this is why I can coin imposter syndrome as a narrative. Desiree
Yeah.
is saying it is persistent self doubt. It is persistent self doubt.
Yes.
And these are the things, if we do not take control of our thoughts on a daily basis, We could go down that rabbit hole very, very easy.
Oh, and it's important when you talk about the daily basis. I think especially for folks who saw the comments from Kevin and Anita and thought, "Oh, how
Mhm.
am I gonna track my accomplishments?" Just keeping that log sounds like work, right? That's
Mhm.
a muscle that you need to exercise.
Yep.
Because especially those of us with imposter syndrome, sometimes we don't even hear compliments and positive feedback. We just tune it out. We
Mhm.
only hear that one negative piece, that one piece of constructive feedback, right? And we
Mhm.
don't hear all of the amazing things people say. So we have to exercise that muscle. And even
And
when
we
you
have
do get it in
and we have to be
writing.
intentional with it, not just
Right.
exercise it. Because remember, exercising, building a muscle, you have to burst the muscle for the muscle to grow. For anybody
Mhm.
who has done weightlifting, this is how the muscle grows. You have to burst the muscle for new muscle to come along. So that's why you have to take the pain. When I was doing a course in my DBA program, I remember the lecturer says, either you want to cry now or cry later. Make up your mind, cry now or cry later. But I understand the failure, the fear, because again, and this is a little off what we're discussing, there are so many families, black families, that are so dysfunctional that we are the end product of trauma and dysfunction. And in many cases, and I've seen it in a lot of people, we are 60, 40, 50, and 60-year-olds who are caught in the trauma of an 8-year-old. So it's an 8-year-old that lives inside of our heads,
Mm,
although our calendar years are this. But inside of us, we are this person. This person didn't handle us. There's something I read the other day where the person said, I am so happy that I was able to slip out of the hands that weren't um, weren't prepared to hold me.
mm,
That trauma shows up when people make you feel that you are not enough. So that voice, that narrative, that loop is inside of your head where somebody, whether it was a grandmother, whether it was a mother, whether it was a father, especially with women. It happens with men a lot, but it happens a lot more with women. And that little teeny violin that is playing in your head keeps telling you that you want too much,
mm,
that your aspirations are too much, that you have too much ambition, and you are the most educated daughter or granddaughter, and the family get-togethers are really a testament of fire, because nobody talks about the woman's accomplishments. They talk about whether she's married or not, whether when is she going to have children. So this is what you're going to do for the rest of your life. You're just going to have your head in a book. So these are the painful things that this is the minefield that they have to navigate. So that is why, who said it? Remember you said that earlier?
mm,
Who said those things to you? And were those things ever true? The unlearning part of your life is the uncomfortable conversations that you have to have in order for you to grow. Remember, Kahil Gibran said that pain is the thing that cracks the shell of understanding.
mm,
Pain. So you have to be prepared to withstand that pain, because what you are doing is building a version of yourself that nobody has ever seen. Not even you.
mm,
Not even you. So that is why I keep saying that imposter syndrome is a narrative. It's a narrative that has been put into our heads, and we have taken the narrative and made it truth. And that's the scary part, because there are very, very worthy women out there, especially in this environment. If we weren't powerful team, nobody would want to have time with us. Nobody would be bothered with us. We have a thing that we say in the Caribbean: we only pelt ripe mango, not a green mango will get pelt. So we are the ripe mangoes that everybody wants to stone, because we are coming with all these things. Women are extremely powerful. We are left and right brained. They know the power that we bring into the table. The only people who are not fully aware of that power is us. We are the
Mm.
ones. So as long as they create systems that allow us to second and third guess ourselves,
Mhm.
yeah, they've already win the game. The game is won. The game is won without a bullet being shot. So let me ask the lastest and second to lastest question. So what are some of the, I'm going to the lastest on, yeah, I have the lastest question here.
Mhm.
So Paul, you are the founder of Black Women Paid. Remember, I asked you before we went live, what was the story behind that? Because you and only you and another woman, another Black woman on LinkedIn is doing this kind of work. You are the only two people. And
Mm.
I am curious about everybody in this space, and you are the only two people doing it. And she was a former Coast Guard officer. And as I tell you, I speak the way that I speak because I also come from
Mm.
military, paramilitary. We are custom giving people orders. It goes in the territory after a while. So you
Mm.
are the founder of Getting Black Women Paid. What's
Mhm.
one piece of advice you'd give to a woman preparing to negotiate her salary or position herself for promotion?
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. So, um, I had one thing I was going to say, and I feel like based on this conversation, I actually want to pivot. I think the biggest piece is your mindset.
Yeah.
You can learn the skills of how to negotiate. You can learn the techniques you can use to negotiate your salary. But the biggest piece is the mindset. In fact, I don't use the phrase know your worth. A lot of
Hmm.
people, when they're trying to empower women to ask for more, they say know your worth, know your worth. But your worth is not a dollar amount.
No.
There is no amount of money that a company could pay and own you. And I think
No.
that rings true especially for Black women.
Hmm.
And so instead of knowing your worth, I encourage you to know you're worthy and that no
Yeah.
number is too high.
Hmm.
So you come into it, there is no amount of money that is too high. So now
Hmm.
I'm going to do the market research, and I'm not going to be looking at the bottom of the range or even the middle of the range because I already know that I had to go through more to get here than most of the other people here. I already know that I am more qualified than most of the people here. So when I do my market research, I'm looking at what's that 75th percentile. That's the
Hmm.
number I'm going to be asking for.
Hmm.
And it's knowing that you are worthy of everything you want and more.
The other, just let me let me just stick a pin in this for 1 second. When people say that you should know your worth, as compared to what?
Mhm.
As compared to what? Because it's too vague a measurement for you to equate. If you are worthy, it means that you have already come to the table with what we refer to as the abilities, the skills, and the knowledge.
Mhm.
So, what
Right.
you are really negotiating is how much you're willing to pay me and how much I am willing to
Mhm.
accept.
Right. We're negotiating. I'm going to provide a service. I'm going to provide my labor in exchange for this amount. Because I
Mhm.
won't walk into a room and say my worth is $150,000.
No, I'm going to make a cogent case. So if you're making a cogent case, I come in with receipts, I come in with the market, I'm coming with the data.
Mhm.
We talking the figures. What are you willing to pay me,
Right.
and what am I willing to accept? So that
Mhm.
that is all we're talking about inside that group.
Right. And we're removing your value as a human being
Yeah,
from that factor. There is no amount of money that they could pay you to equal the value that you have as a human. And so
exactly.
that just takes that completely out of the picture. Now it's okay, well, I'm going to provide an excellent service and the market says I should be expecting 200,000 for it.
Mhm. Do you believe that women do not call their proper price? And
Generally,
when they go to negotiate dollars, they do not ask for what they actually want. They go in. almost cap in hand, hoping that somebody will give them something. So there's an
Yeah.
aura of desperation inside of the negotiation. And once somebody smells that desperation, they are going to pay you what you are not worth. They're going to pay you below market price.
Well, we're taught to be grateful, right? We're taught to, just be grateful for the opportunities you have. Don't rock the boat. You don't want to come across as greedy. You don't want to look arrogant, right? We're given these messages all the time of how to be meek and, oh, thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm just so grateful to have something.
Mhm.
When the guy next to you was given the same offer and then he asked for another $20,000,
With his whole chest.
and maybe they gave him 10, right? Maybe they met him halfway through. But now
Yeah,
he's
but
10,000 higher than you. And then for the next year, when you get that percentage increase, his percentage is off of a higher number. And
and
then it
when he goes to
compounds.
renegotiate, he is going to renegotiate at a price point above that. So you
Mhm.
are still behind the eight ball.
Right.
Here is what I tell people, and I want women to get behind this thought. I do not want a bigger house. I want a bigger life.
Mm.
A bigger life is what I am looking for. So, what does a bigger life look like? What are the things that bring you joy? For me, is travel. I love to travel. I live 15 minutes from the airport, literally 15 minutes from the airport. From the top floor of my townhouse, I can see aircraft take off and land. And I have worked in aviation for over 30 years. As far as I'm concerned, an aircraft is a bus. So I know
Mhm.
from Trinidad to Miami is 3 hours and 45 minutes. If I am traveling on JetBlue, I am going to be in JFK in 3 hours and 45 minutes because JetBlue has newer aircraft and they have pride of place because they have FAA lanes. I want to travel on Emirates. I want to go to Japan. I want to see how other people live. So that is a bigger life.
Mhm.
So your job, your ambitions must fund that bigger life that you want. I must sit and say, you know what? Today is Friday. What you want to do it yourself, Rhonda? You want to go green? You know what? I'm going to the airport and buy a ticket to go Grenada for the weekend. And Saturday morning, I am on a beach chair in Grenada with a drink with an umbrella in it. That is a bigger life.
And
That's a
it's
bigger
also
life. That's a bigger life, not a bigger house, not more shoes, not a new car, a bigger life. I want a bigger life. I want to go. I like museums. I love art galleries. Those are the things that I want.
Mhm.
These things that you're asking for is to fund that.
And I'd say it's also okay if your bigger life includes a bigger house, right?
Yeah.
If it's about what you want,
What does
not
that
about what
bigger life
people
look
tell you
like?
not
Yeah.
about what
What does
people
that
tell you
bigger
you
life
should want.
look like? What does that bigger life look like?
Mhm.
Because we cannot be the most qualified entities and we are settling for far less than we are worth. So now I'm coming to the last question. And Anita said when I said the guy is going to ask for something with his whole chest and he's not as qualified. Yes, and listen, you want to have that kind of chutzpah. That somebody who's going to ask something for something with their whole chest, because this is listen, there's only one life, you know. If
They
I
say.
if I thought for 1 second I couldn't do this bold thing to go back to school at 40, then I wouldn't do it. Care how I worked it out in my mind. I said I'm permanently employed, and if I fail a module, I could pay and do it again. It was that simple. So I factored in failure. I factored in failure. And this is what it's about. But oftentimes we talk ourselves out of a very good idea because of that. We feel, and I'm going to use your word, because we believe that society is telling us that we are not ready yet. We use that word, and that yet becomes a double edged sword that lands us in the land of regret. So we sit at the end of our lives, and as I told somebody today, that nobody lies on their deathbed and says that they should have bought another Louboutin shoe. Nobody has that conversation.
Mhm.
Nobody has that conversation. And then there's a whole different conversation about creating generational wealth and our relationship with money. And that will come up in subsequent interviews because I bring in women to the table. I have a real thing about women and money and what we didn't learn and the shame behind money and all of that. So I bring in the people to talk about that. So I'm going to ask you the last question. And this is it. And I thank you because this is good stuff.
Mm,
These are the conversations that I want to have. I don't want these conversations to be cookie cutter because if at the end of tonight's broadcast, one person will take one little kernel of
mhm,
information away and say, you know what? Let me try this thing. If it doesn't work, then it doesn't work, and I've lost nothing.
mm,
But if there's one thing that Rhonda said and Tine said that I could apply, let me just test it out and see if it is going to make any sense. So this is the last question.
mhm,
For Black women, oh, this is a big one, eh? For Black women navigating predominantly white or male dominated industries, what's your advice on
mhm.
how to show up confidently and to protect your energy while doing it?
Mm. I'm looking at Anita's comment on with his whole
Right?
chest. They say, "God grant me the confidence of a mediocre white man."
You
You
know
know?
that you're saying that like you're not sure. You are saying that like you are not sure. You want that kind of energy.
Mm.
So
And I
how do we do it?
there are a few things. Um, one, that we have talked about is, you know, logging your accomplishments is not just for the mid-year review and for your resume, it's also for you to
Mm-hmm.
pump yourself up, to remind yourself of all the things you did
Mm-hmm.
and to remind yourself of all the things you can do
Mm-hmm.
and to show up in spaces knowing that they need you. They need you and your skills. My cousin, she told me she never puts more on her desk than will fit into her purse.
Yeah.
She walks into every meeting knowing you need me more than I need you, and if I have to walk out that door, I will.
Yeah.
I can gather my stuff up into my bag and be on my way. And that, obviously many of us are in a position we need the job.
Mm-hmm.
But to go into the room knowing what you know, knowing the value that you bring,
Mm-hmm.
I think is a huge piece. Another thing is to choose your battles. I
Yep.
think Kevin posted the question about, what if you're showing up, you're doing all the things and your boss doesn't see it? He only criticizes, he only does this. You can't change everybody. You're going to be in situations that that are bad for you, and it's not going to be something that you can fix. You need to choose your battles and document everything.
Mm-hmm.
HR is not always your friend. You need to,
HR is never your friend. HR is your employer's friend.
but the point is, you need to um, document your experiences, document what your contributions were,
Mm-hmm.
document those microaggressions, those things that are coming from all different sides. Document everything so that if it does rise to the point where something is illegal,
Mm-hmm.
you can take action. If it rises to the point where it's hurting your mental health,
You can
then
take that.
now you've documented all of these things that you've accomplished
Mm-hmm.
you can bring to the next role. Right? Sometimes it's get out. Sometimes the answer is you have to go.
Mm-hmm.
And so, try to build community where you can. Make sure you're working towards getting mentors and sponsors, people who will speak up for you when you're not in the room. But at the
Mm-hmm.
end of the day, if it's hurting you to be there, you got to be somewhere else.
Yeah, you do. You have to. And I like the idea of you saying that to choose your battles. Listen, here's the funny thing about people who want to be bullies on a job.
Mm,
Those people are unfinished people. They are carrying trauma. And this may be the only place where they are feeling powerful,
Mhm.
because in every other aspect of their lives, they probably feel powerless.
Mhm.
That's not your battle to fight. Jesus Christ came here and they put him up on a 2 by 4. Your job is not to fight those battles. Your job is to be intentional so that you have two options, three options: stay and document. Document and plan to leave. Plan to leave. Because you can interview for other jobs, put your resume
Mhm.
together, start a network, start to reach out to, because under no circumstances a job must be traded for your mental health.
Right.
I'm totally against that. People came to Jesus during the pandemic, and then employers insist that people must come out to work when you are getting way more production out of remote work than, because what was happening to women is that women had to be everything at the same time. Organizations didn't have childcare.
Mhm.
They didn't have study leave for people who wanted to go back to school. There were no boons being offered to encourage the employee to become the best version of themselves. But the seismic swell that is coming and came during the pandemic, this is the first major change since the Industrial Revolution. You are telling people
Mhm.
that they will only be productive if they have somebody standing over their shoulders to stand up to see how they are performing. You are taking the right of autonomy away from people for a
Mhm.
salary. Because 8 hours on a job to do a job that you are completing in 2 hours is a waste of your life, your time, your energy, and everything else. And the employers were insisting that people come out to work just so that you could look to see what they're doing. That's absolute bullshit.
Mhm.
Because I want people to produce. I don't want to see people all the time. I don't people well. So I am saying that we have to insist on having options.
Mhm.
And part of having those options is for us to revisit all these narratives, all these things that people have said to us. So before we go, let me see what Anita has said. Is, Anita is definitely going to get the workbook. No two ways about it. She says, just a little of that confidence goes a long way. Say that again. The confidence of the mediocre white man.
Yeah.
Best confidence you could ever hope. Everybody wants to have that kind of confidence. So Desiree said, she said she liked that. She said she likes the idea of a bigger life. I want a bigger life. I don't want a bigger
Mhm.
house. I don't want a bigger house. I want a bigger life. I want a bigger life. I this life that we are living has so much more than what our grandmothers and great grandmothers and great grandmothers. So when they, like I told somebody, when they are trying to erase black knowledge, they haven't started yet. They will run out of erasers because black knowledge goes back thousands of years. They ain't started to erase yet.
Mm.
There are plenty more erasing to do. So don't be heartbroken if they're trying to erase now. This is our time to read more, to get back in touch with what the ancestors have said in terms of knowledge, in terms of everything, spirituality, everything. Those are the things that have brought us to this point. And we are the dream of every woman who didn't. The women who couldn't vote, the women who couldn't drive a car, the women who couldn't open a banking account,
Mhm.
the women who had to be married um, to be acceptable in the society. We those women only had a perception of what the future would be, and they lived and they died, and that future was never revealed to them. We are in the middle of massive change, and the only time that that change will be fully realized is when we step into our power as
Mm.
women. And it starts with debunking that narrative.
Mm.
It starts with debunking that narrative. You are going to disappoint people. And one of the people that you're going to disappoint is your own self. Because when you have to make that kind of shift and you have to unmount the things that you thought were true and you have to unlearn all those things, yeah, it has some tears in that. It has some heartbreak in that. It have people that you have to let go of. It have relationships that you're going to have to let go of. But you have to know that this thing is for your growth and you have to go the distance. You have to feel that you will be supported. Those women who lived and died and never think about it. We living in answered prayers. We are. As bad as this time is, it was far worse for them. When Harriet was pulling people through to slavery. We we have Ubers and rideshare. We could say that we don't want to be in a marriage anymore. We could decide we don't want to have children. We could decide we have some level of autonomy of ourselves, which they are trying, kicking and screaming to, because in their minds, those were passive women. And we
Mm,
are not passive women. I'm not a passive woman. I'm a badass woman. I'm an extremely powerful woman.
mm,
My grandmother had 10 children. My grandmother come from India. We are the dream of these women. When my grandmother, my paternal grandmother was picking cocoa and coffee, they didn't have the dream that I have, that I went to university, that I started an agency, that I finished in a doctorate. That wasn't their dreams. They couldn't even think about those things. So we have to rebuild.
mm,
And we have to fully step into our power. And that only happens when we let go of everything that is keeping us stuck.
mm,
We have to do it because we have to do it for the next generation. But because what are we leaving for them? We had to go back to the ancestors. We had to be called home empty. We have to. This is our time. It's not going to be any other way. So as I said, Camille, oh, they are having a whole conversation outside here. Let me just show you some of it. I love it. One thing with my girls that has come up. Preference is important. Do what makes you happy. Have the right mindset and can become a reality. Put in the work and make it happen. We had to put in
mhm,
the work because, listen, she said, I want to completely run out of all the music in me. When I get to heaven, I want my hope chest to be completely empty. I want to have accomplished and received all that God planned for me. When I was going through my challenge in 2021, where I lost over $150,000 and had to rebuild my business from scratch, you know what I said? I said, God, you give me too much talent for me to amount to nothing. You give me too much for me to amount for nothing. So Lily is saying, thanks for doing these lives. I really hope what's said here reaches everyone. Fear is the greatest setback. We have to be brave and take the leap of faith.
mm,
There is no other way. Women are extremely powerful. This is not a hard thing for us to do, you know. Powerful point. You will disappoint yourself to keep growing. Yes. Yes, you will. But it is all right. It is all right. It is all right. So having said all the things, I thank you. I am already inviting you back for the roundtable discussion. And ladies and gentlemen, there is something that is, let me show you it one time. Some people will get it, and Kevin might get it himself because Kevin asked all the things. First man getting a workbook for a woman only workshop. So let me show you this. Let me show you this image file. And this is what we're going to be giving away tonight. And we are going to be giving away this. This is a worksheet that has about 5 or 6 pages. And a lot of it was drawn from your book, Christine or Tine, because I found the book to be very, very, the message in it
mm.
is for this time, for us to start to unmount and get real. So for those of you who want the worksheet, please drop me a DM or drop the word confidence inside of the comments and I will send you the link and you could download it and do with it as you see fit. We will have more of these worksheets, more of these things as we go forward. So I said all the things. I get everything off my chest. 10. You take the thing home, and thank you so much. Talk to the audience before we close off.
Oh, wonderful. Well, I mean, thank you again, Rhonda, for having me. I think this whole series is going to be so exciting and enriching. Um, I think the biggest thing I want to leave you all with is just the power that we all have,
Mhm.
the value we all bring. It's not about, have I earned this thing yet? It's it's already mine. I need to claim it, right? The things that we want in our lives, we deserve them. And now it's about stepping into ourselves, stepping into our power and claiming those things. One thing I didn't mention, when you're stuck in the job and you're dealing with different things. For many of us, that's not the first time we've been there. It's not the second time. It's not the third time. And so a lot of us are starting our own businesses. A lot of us are saying, you know what? I'm done making money for someone else. Now I need to build something on my own. And we are a community. You're not going to be doing it alone. You can join with others who are doing the same thing. Um, I don't know if it's appropriate to plug something I have coming
Of
up.
course, I expect you to plug. The floor is yours. If you don't plug,
So
I will be disappointed.
so on April 15th, I know it's tax day. Hopefully you'll be submitting something before April 15th. I'm holding a webinar for Black women who are done with the struggles of making money for someone else, constantly working harder than everyone, being overlooked, and who want to build their own thing. The webinar is called How to Write Your Own Checks on Your Terms in Your Time. It's for Black women who are ready to launch a business in the next 90 days. And so I really hope to see you all there. I can drop a link into the comments, but if you want to read more about it, you can also go to gettingblackwomenpaid.com/webinar. So it's www.gettingblackwomenpaid.com/webinar. And I hope to see you all there.
Thank you. I've already signed up for it. So, ladies and
Wonderful.
gentlemen, this is Tine. Next episode will be on the 14th, and we will be having that conversation about money. Financial educator Aisha Akers, who is also an author, she is going to be on. Aisha is McGill. We have all kinds of financial conversations. And as I said before, we need to have that mindset shift where money is concerned. In the meantime, if you need help with building your business from ideation to prototype to final product, and those of you who are looking to build and scale without overwhelm, without overthinking, without heartache, you can reach out to me at www.rhondaglynn.com. I am the badass strategist behind Zoma Business Solutions, and I work with female founders and women owned startups. I do have male clients, surprise, surprise, and reach out to me. We have two offers on tap right now. We have tiered one-on-one coaching, and we are building out a subscription model, which is for startup companies, scaled companies, and companies that are ready to go to the next level. Because as we both know, you can't bootstrap a business forever. And I am not a business coach. I'm a business strategist. I am the person who, after you cry on my shoulder, I am going to ask you, what do you want to do? I work with women both in the Caribbean and outside of the Caribbean. Right now, most of my clients are outside of the Caribbean. And I'm not going to convince somebody to invest in their business. I cannot love your business more than you love your business. But if you want to succeed, I have the tools. I have the tools. We will run the numbers. You will tell me what you want. We will apply the numbers. We will decide what do you want to do? What are the percentages? What are the quarters? What are the tasks? What are the subtasks? And we will be measuring twice and cutting once. So please share this live to your friends. On the 14th, Aisha will be coming up. And after Aisha, we will have Anita, and we'll be talking about the sandwich generation. And then on the 5th, do you know I ended up with more people? On the 5th, we are talking about branding and marketing with Jamila Bannister. And then we have Anne Marie Ortonez coming in as well. We have Celia, who is from Barbados, and we're going to be talking about wellness and corporate citizenship because we are internalizing pain, stress, and it is showing itself in lifestyle diseases. And at the end of the series, we still have people coming to the table. We're keeping the door open for people who still coming. So we will probably end around the 19th of April. And the 19th of April is when we're going to have a roundtable discussion where
Of
Tyne and
of May?
everybody else will be around the table at that point in time.
19th of May?
19th of May, 19th or 20th of May will be the close off, and everybody will come around the table. I have space for 10 people. So we will come around the table. We will decide what were the breakout moments, what were the moments that were really pure gold, and what is the way forward for
Mhm.
us as women as we build community so that we truly become our sisters' keepers in this season. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. For those of you who stayed down to the end, the worksheet is yours. It is free. You could do it at whatever you want. Thank you again. Please, for those of you, please share this live because time came with all the things. And these are useful things that we need to be doing in this season because nobody's going to
Mhm.
save you if you're not saving yourself. So thank you, thank you, Teen. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please go out there, make a plug for the book one time. Go out there, buy this book.
Yes, it's Overcoming Imposter Syndrome at Work, The Black Woman's Guide to Conquer Perfectionism, Stop Overthinking, and Thrive in Your Career. You can get it at impostersyndromebook.com.
Exactly. And it's also on Amazon.
And it's also on Amazon,
It's
yes.
also
And
on
the
Amazon.
audiobook is on
And
Audible.
because
It's
I
my
am the
if you wanna
audiobook,
hear more of my silky voice, go to the audiobook as
it's,
well.
it's the audio version that I listen to.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful.
I did. Yes, the voice is nice. It is. It is. So thank you so much, everybody. We did run over, but it's good stuff. Thank you so much, and good night, everybody.
Thank
Bye.
you. Good night.
Bye, honey.